Chairman. Mr. Whitaker, Administrator Whitaker, excuse me, one of the big issues at Boeing is the breakdown in communication, the way I see it. I appreciate the Speak Up program, but how is Boeing improving communication between different teams to ensure quality control issues do not slip through the cracks?
Well, making sure that there's a robust program in place where the employees can speak up is a key component of the safety management system, and it's required for success. That's where you get your best information, is from the floor. So we're watching very diligently to make sure that that program is available and is being used. So we're doing surveys of employees and talking with folks on the ground. But employees have multiple pathways, including coming directly to FAA. If they don't feel like they can speak up at Boeing, they can come to our website and file information there as well.
How will folks be reviewed or responded to that do those kind of things?
So at FAA, we have a very regimented program to protect identity, and each claim gets investigated very thoroughly. And we're working to make sure that that same approach is taken at Boeing, so there's no retaliation. In fact, people should be recognized for speaking up, and we are seeing an uptick in reports over this course of this year.
Do we have any metrics that show that it's improved the operations through this new line of communications, or old line, I guess I should say?
I think the best metric is going to be employee surveys, and I can respond back to your office to see if we have any additional specific information about that.
Okay. Most of the folks up here, me included, are space exploration or rocketry skills. Basically, are 4th of July shooting some bottle rockets, or maybe have an Estes rocket that their dad helped make a very cool V2 that the first launch went into a huge oak tree in my neighbor's yard. It's still never been able to recover that. But I'm curious about those poor folks that seem to be trapped in outer space. Are they, I had a constituent, lady, Denise Lambert, I believe was her name, had asked about those folks, and do we think they're going to get home safely and soon?
So it's a little bit outside my portfolio, my oversight.
I realize that, but that's kind of what everybody's talking about.
Well, all I can say is I hope so.
Well, that's a very graded answer, I'll say. Thank you. Another area of concern, of course, is the employee training, specifically employees' adherence to work instructions. In the comprehensive action plan, they committed to simplifying work instructions for mechanics and inspectors so that they'll be able to perform checks in a consistent manner. Now, to your knowledge, has Boeing revised any of the pre-existing instructions manuals yet?
So my understanding is they've completed an assessment of the work instructions to identify the areas where they need to simplify the instructions. So that process has been underway. How many have actually been simplified at this point, I don't know, but I do know that there's been progress in that space.
Do you think that simplifying the processes and procedures helps increase consistency during that process?
It helps increase consistency. It reduces confusion and conflict, and it needs to correspond with more training as well.
Did y'all consider the stakeholder and the FAA's feedback when you developed those simplified processes and procedures?
Can you say that again?
Did you consider, sorry, I'm from East Tennessee. It's the only place in America where people don't speak with an accent, so I guess I can understand you not getting that. Did Boeing consider stakeholder and Federal Aviation Administration feedback when developing simplified processes and procedures?
They did. They had the results of our own audit. They had the results of the Section 103 panel that was put together, and also employee feedback directly.
What about the FAA? Have they changed their approach to oversight of industry compliance?
We've changed our oversight to Boeing extensively by having inspectors on the floor, by putting this cap on production, by having these metrics that we're monitoring. And then we're looking more broadly at the oversight models for all segments of aviation, including OEMs.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, since I'm a generous soul, I'm going to yield back the remainder 20 seconds of my time.
Thank you. Gentleman from Tennessee, were you trying to draw a connection between the rocket that got stuck in the oak tree and otherwise it would have reached the International Space Station? Is that what you
I was actually making the point that that's about my knowledge, and I realize that's about everybody up here's knowledge, and they've all Googled some really cool stuff on this, I'm sure, but the reality is that's about as far as it goes, Mr. Chairman. Sorry to deflate everybody's ego on both sides of the aisle.
Nope.
But if you know how to get that thing out of that oak tree, I'll be with you. My brother climbed up there years ago, and he never could quite make it to the top. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, for pointing out something very important to me.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get the full resources of the Transportation Committee on that.